great basketball.
Defender to the master, Jason Tatum.
We covering pre and post game back on this.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back into Celtics Postgame Live. I am your host, Rob Atayan. Joined with me are my co-hosts, all in the same room on the same couch, reporting live from Justin's house. Ian Angelo, Justin Lowe, Jack Bienvenue, and our very special guest, Finn Sands, a.k.a. Celtics Insiders. Guys, Celtics pick up Game 2, another big win, 119-106. JT, 29 points, 10 boards. JB, 18. Derek White, 26 points. That graphic is wrong. He did not have 14 rebounds. I believe he had like 7. I can double check that. But yeah, 7 rebounds. C's big win, go up 2-0. Justin, we always start with you. We'll start with you now. Your reactions, your takeaways, let me hear them.
Yeah, I just thought the Celtics played a really physical game tonight. I thought they didn't let Atlanta discourage them early. I think it was 22-9 or 22-11. The game started out. You know, you kind of figured Atlanta was going to throw their first punch, but they didn't. I mean, Boston was able to weather the storm. I thought Derek White played really, really well tonight on both ends of the floor. He's really showing that the all defensive team. And then he dude, I'm so sorry. Jack's just in the bit behind. But I thought it was super important for the Celtics tonight to capitalize this because I personally thought Atlanta was going to come back and tie this series. I thought that Atlanta was going to throw a punch and catch Boston off guard. I really thought it was going to be that type of night. It actually turned out to be kind of better than the other night. I think it was at one point a 21-point game, and then Boston was able to stick with it. So just a really, really good win.
Yeah, absolutely. And Finn, obviously, you're joining us back on the show. How is this series like done? Is it officially wraps? Do you think Hawks are going to throw in? I mean, they gave us a good game tonight.
Oh,
you're muted. We can't hear you.
Muted. No, he's still muted. Let's kick it to Ian while he figures that out. Ian, what did you think of the game?
I mean, I thought it was just an overall, this is just what you expect the Celtics to do. You expect them to come in, take care of business at home. And honestly, I'm not really surprised. I wasn't too worried when it came to the comeback. I mean, yeah, they were down by 9, but it just didn't feel like the Hawks were ever in this game, honestly. You're always going to have performances from guys like DeJounte Murray or Trae Young or somebody that's going to start going off because that's just kind of what happens. There's a lot of good people on their team. So DeJounte Murray had a great night too. At one point he was taking over, but I mean, honestly, Trae Young just can do nothing when it comes to the Celtics defense with Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, and Marcus Smart guarding him the entire game.
No, for sure. Past runs we've seen the Celtics kind of blow these big leads, and the other team gets within 3, 4. I mean, the Celtics, the past 2 games, the Hawks have had these runs, but they've been able to kind of shut them down. Figure out what they're doing and adjust, which I think has been great to be able to see them make adjustments and make the right adjustments in these kind of runs these teams are going on. And I know it's Atlanta, but still, it's definitely a good start.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if this was on the road, if we win this game. I think the first half of Game 3 is the biggest tell, whether or not this will be a sweep. I'm staying true. I believe this is going to be a 4-game series. The Celtics are just so much better than the Hawks. But let's see, Finn, are we good to go?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Give us what you got.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that. So for me, when I look into the series, the thing that stands out to me is the Celtics defense, and specifically from their point guards. There's no doubt that we all know that the Celtics have size. The smallest guy on the court is Marcus Smart, right? That's crazy. And Trae Young is being impacted by this for sure. He calls up a pick and roll, and instead of Marcus Smart, he has Malcolm Brogdon on him now. And he's struggling because of that, and that's something that really encourages me, especially going into these next couple rounds. And not only that, but we know the Celtics got off to a bad start. I think they were down 21-11.
Yeah.
And then Robert Williams came in the game, and I think there was like 4 or 5 possessions straight where the defense was just unreal. And that tells me when it matters, the Celtics defense can click like that, and they can make subs like that. And it's really an amazing thing to have where you can just go to your bench and the game changes in an instant.
Yeah, it's a huge luxury. And honestly, guys, it's like from what I've seen around the league, I'm feeling great right now as a Celtics fan. I look at Philly's series and I'm like, all right, last night they won by 12. They didn't crack 100 points against the Brooklyn Nets.
Brooklyn was up on the majority of that game, too.
Yeah, Brooklyn gave them. So I'm sitting here. Bucks right now sitting down 0-1, no Giannis. You assume they're going to be fine. They'll get out of that series at some point. It just will probably not be in. It can't be in 4. Probably won't be in 5 either. With Giannis doubtful. I look at Cleveland. Cleveland looks really great this game, but I mean, I'm not the Knicks or the Cavs don't move the needle for me. So out east, I'm fine. And if I look over west. The 2 seed right now is down 0-1 to the Lakers, the Grizzlies, right, with John Morant injured. Clippers are without Paul George, up 1-0 against Phoenix as they play later tonight. So it's like Denver looks solid, but against a really weak Minnesota team. So it's like right now, as a C's fan, you got to be feeling really good. We're healthy. We're playing really good basketball. And I think tonight the Hawks gave us a really good game. I don't think they came in and half-assed it. I really think that the Hawks, they shot the ball incredibly. And I mean, DeJounte Murray hit 7 threes? That's his career high. What did they say on the broadcast? He had 3 or 7 career games with 3 or more entering today's game, and then he hit 7. So it's like, as a Celtics fan, I'm feeling really good right now.
Yeah, and I feel as if we sit here and like you said, Rob, Atlanta gave us their best shot the second half of game 1. And then tonight, right from the jump, Boston was able to weather that storm. I feel as if we've seen Atlanta's hardest punch. And I get Trey, he's been off and all that, but I really feel like the Celtics have handled everything that the Hawks have thrown at them, right? Like we talked about it at the end of the postgame show the other night. Everybody was so focused on the Celtics, going from 30 up to all of a sudden just 12 up. Well, like we pointed out on the postgame show, think of every time they did cut it to 12, how quickly it was back up to 18 and back up to 20. Something similar tonight. Hawks cut it down to 9. Boston shot it right back up to 20. So, the Celtics have their thumb on the game. They have their finger on the game all night long. It's just whether or not they want to keep that on switch turned on.
Yeah, and runs are part of it, right? Like the Hawks are a playoff team, right? They aren't just gonna walk in and allow us to go in there and beat them by 30 consistently. You don't see that in the playoffs. That's not the norm, right? Over the course of a seven game playoff series, even in the first round, you don't see that often. Teams go on runs and teams are going to give you their best game, right? 85% of the time. And I think Boston is clearly much better than Atlanta, but at the same time, that's expected. And I want to do this in 4. If this isn't in 4, I think I'm pretty upset with that, guys, right?
I agree.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely. I think the thing with Atlanta is this was kind of a problem that everybody knew. They just don't have anybody to stop Brown and Tatum together.
Yeah.
You can put all of your focus on one of those two, but it doesn't matter. And if Derek White's going to do what he's going to do, and he's going to drop 24 like he did tonight,
right?
You might as well just pack it up. Because there's nobody that's going to be able to stop the Celtics when either all 3 of them are clicking or even if 2 of them are clicking, the Celtics are still going to find a way to win.
Do you think that's demoralizing for the Hawks?
It has
sitting there thinking they throw their first punch up 22-9, whatever it was, and then Boston all of a sudden they had a really crappy start, and then Boston all of a sudden ended up winning by 13, but it was at one point 23.
Yeah, it has to be demoralizing because if you really think about it, when you go planning into a series, you definitely plan your focus on Tatum and Brown, and you may or may not want to live with the rest of the team contributing. And it must be demoralizing that Derek White has been able to absolutely destroy them the last 2 games.
Right.
So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like it's a lose-lose situation for you in any sort of way.
And like Derek White, that's what Finn was saying earlier. Like the Celtics has stepped up. Like I get Derek White's been starting so far the last 2 games, but like we had Derek White on paper last year, this time of year, but we didn't have Derek White like we have right now. Like this Derek White is on a whole other level. As well as Malcolm Brogdon. And then you get Robert Williams off the bench, depending on the matchups and how Joe wants to play that. Like this Celtics team. And then you could switch between Grant and you could switch between Hauser. I can guarantee you that if we were to meet Philly and Milwaukee down the line, we will be seeing a lot of Grant Williams coming down in the playoffs. But like think of those guys. Grant Williams is getting coaches' decisions did not play. That's how deep this team is. And we know the caliber. When Grant's on, we know the caliber of player Grant Williams is. Is he $20 million, worth $20 million? Probably not. But like we know what Grant Williams is, and we know what he can be.
Well, it's like the only thing that sticks out to me, if I look at the box score, it's Robert Williams times played. That's Robert Williams having the luxury of only playing him 22 minutes in the first round is great. And we saw last year this team just hit a wall physically, and they just couldn't get it done when they needed to. The Warriors just had more steam than Boston. And, one of the reasons was because obviously we had to climb our way back all year after starting so poorly. And the other reason was, is being that, they didn't close series out when they needed to. The Bucks series, in my opinion, got extended to a game 7 when it shouldn't have been. I thought that should have been over in 6 if we didn't blow that 14-point lead in that fourth quarter
Right.
in game 5. And then that Heat series, same thing. That should have been
5 games. That
should have been 5. We had the 26-point lead in game 1, and then we had a game 6 at home in Boston. And those are 2 games that Boston should have closed out. I don't think that happens this year. And credit goes to Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, and Robert Williams. And Justice said it right. Once Grant Williams, I think you're going to start seeing 20, 25 minutes of Grant against teams like Philly and Milwaukee. And just you have so many options you can go to. Even going down the line of Peyton Pritchard, if you really need to go that direction, bearing an unexpected injury, I'm still feeling solid with Pritchard coming off the bench, need be, right, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
So that speaks everything to me. But how about the fact that Malcolm Brogdon almost had a triple-double tonight? Like, what? Yeah. It's coming from every direction.
Yeah, and I feel like these guards are I think are presented just with great opportunities to get like all those assists, Right. I mean with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, the lob threat to Rob, with Al in the corner, it's pretty tough to not get assists in this team. So this is definitely the team that makes everyone better, and that's definitely one of the best parts of the team.
Right, and again, essentially somebody who we did not have last year, and right. Who knows if those say he only averages 9 points a game on 5 assists and 3 rebounds. Like we didn't have that last year. Like Peyton Pritchard he was balling last year, but like Malcolm Brogdon is significantly better, with all due respect, than Peyton Pritchard at that 7th spot in the rotation, even throw him at that 6th spot. But like that just goes to show you how deep this Celtics roster is. And I guess it's a small sample size because we're playing a team like Atlanta when there's other teams out there that the Celtics have their eyes on, in the future, like a Milwaukee or a Philadelphia or even a Cleveland that we're watching right beside us. I think the Celtics' priorities are farther than the Atlanta Hawks, obviously, but you got to take it a series at a time because we've seen what happens when the Celtics do not take it a series at a time or even a game at a time. The Celtics tend to play down to their competition. So luckily they haven't done that yet, even though I get it, a couple leads that, have been walked down, but they've been able to win and execute when they needed to in this playoff so far.
Yeah. And, as a Celtics fan, I think right now, we all have to be focused on tomorrow night, 9:00 tip-off in Milwaukee, Heat Bucks.
If Miami finds a way to go up 2-0 against Milwaukee,
especially on the road.
On the
Giannis isn't playing, right?
He's doubtful.
He's doubtful.
He's doubtful. He's going to play.
So here's the thing, though. To counter that, Miami already has a bottom 5 offense in the league.
Yeah,
Tyler Hero is out 46 weeks.
Yeah, I think.
True, I forgot.
I forget who. I forget who I was talking to about this, but someone was saying like Giannis is injured, but Tyler Hero is just.
I mean,
he's. I feel like he's. This is like gonna sound weird, me saying, but I feel like for the Heat, Tyler Hero is a bigger loss than Giannis is for the Bucks, just because I feel like the Bucks have a lot more like firepower,
like depth, firepower, right?
Behind but the Heat, it's like he's involved in so many scoring plays for them, and I know Giannis is too, but like.
And you don't know what Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, and you don't know.
You saw Kyle Lowry go for 33 in the plane, and then what the other night hit like 4 points. Like,
well, I think it depends on what version of this series depends on what version of Drew Holiday you're going to get, because if you get every other game Drew Holiday where he's giving you 10 points, 12 points on some miserable shooting, the Heat will take this. Like no question, the Heat will beat the Bucks if Giannis isn't playing. But if you get the Drew Holiday we've seen every other night, right, where it's 60% from beyond the arc, lockdown defense, and an all NBA caliber player, the Bucks will take care of the Heat with or without Giannis. It just might have to get extended to like 6 or 7 if Giannis misses significant time. But I mean, I'd be shocked. I bet he comes back for Game 3.
Yeah, I doubt. I don't see Milwaukee losing this series. I mean, I think even if they didn't have Giannis until Game 4, I mean, I think they might even win it without Giannis at all. I think the Bucks are. I mean, I get Jimmy. They have Spoelstra, but I think the Bucks are just so much deeper than Miami is, and I think that'll be.
Yeah, I think Miami put up a good series. I think it'll be a tough series, almost like last year the Celtics and the Nets. Like we swept them, but like that was like one of the closest right. It was like one of the closest sweeps of all time. Yeah. Like every game is decided, and like we talked about this before, Rob. Like Miami doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna go out there and whoop Milwaukee, but like. Just because they're a lower seed doesn't mean they don't present a difficult matchup for the Milwaukee Bucks. They've been a difficult matchup for the Milwaukee Bucks in previous years up until this year as well. Just not having Giannis, they're going to have to weather the storm, and they're going to have to show their depth. Guys like Joe Ingles, guys like Jay Crowder, Goran Dragic, guys that they spent money on and went out and got in the buyout market. And, they're going to have to prove their worth, and they're going to all have to figure out how to win, because teams have to figure out how to win without their stars sometimes. That happens.
I also feel like health plays a major role as well, right? So, even if the Heat can take the Bucks to 6 or 7, that could be a huge difference maker for a team like the Celtics.
Yeah.
Chris Middleton, he's bumped his knee all season. Honestly, I don't even think he's in form yet. Definitely not 100% by the looks of my eyes. And he hasn't been able to stay on the court. So, if they can't win in 5 now, right, and it goes to 6 or 7, and then they have a quick turnaround and play a big physical team and the Cavaliers maybe, and then you get to the Celtics in the ECF. I mean, they could run into a wall. I wouldn't be surprised, especially right now. We don't really know what's going on with Giannis's back, but I feel like it's a type of injury that can linger. And, like if we match up with them eventually, we might have a little bit of an advantage there.
Totally. And I think like so many people want to talk about, oh, well, X player was hurt, right? Like last year, the Bucks didn't have Middleton. And when it comes to being a championship team, I think Finn nailed it. You have to be able to have availability. It is just up. Every champion of all time, right, has had a probably had a team or a opposing team or opposing player miss games that was significant. That is part of being an NBA champion. It is staying healthy. It is when someone does miss time, it's next man up, right? That's all a part of it. And I feel like what we've seen from Milwaukee, you guys got like this core. Do you think this is a core that's good enough for 2 rings? This Milwaukee, I don't think so. I really don't think they're that good of a core. In which a point they've already gotten their ring. And I see a broken down Chris Middleton. Drew Holiday's been balling. I give Drew Holiday a lot of credit. Giannis is gonna be Giannis if he's on the court. But and then I look around that and I see an old Joe Ingles. I see a Jay Crowder who's like, he doesn't move the needle for me. I Wesley Matthews. I love what Bobby Portis gives him off the bench. It's just like I don't think the Bucks, honestly, like the Lakers, can stay healthy for a playoff run. They just haven't been showing us that all year and all last year. So it's like right now, I mean, we saw it on DraftKings, right? I think ESPN put up a post. Celtics are now the betting favorite to win the finals because I think the only question mark is Robert Williams, but he's looked really good the first 2 games of the playoffs, and he's looked really healthy. And I think the Celtics, honestly, surprisingly, they did a phenomenal job over the season, I think, managing him. I think all of us had our doubts, but I think they really did the right thing, playing him those 22 minutes throughout the course of the season and having him sit out on those back-to-backs, as frustrating as it was, because those losses to teams like Orlando and Houston were pissing us off. It was for a bigger purpose, and I think we're starting to see that. So I'm still liking the Celtics out east. I haven't seen anything to convince me otherwise. Philly's up 2-0, but not impressive. And Cleveland's giving New York the business right now, but like they had to, right? Like this was their response. Like this was their bounce back game. We expected that. I think New York was happy and content with stealing one on the road. Out west, what do we think, guys? Out west, I mean, Sacramento's up 2-0 against Golden State. Light the beam. I mean, we had a podcast with Jack Cody. I'm sure you've seen his TikTok clips. He's the biggest Jason Tatum fan of all time. And we got into a very heated debate about whether or not the Golden State Warriors were going to come out of the West. I'm saying.
What's your opinion, Finn? Do you think the Warriors have a chance in the West right now?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think, well, they kind of have to worry about the first round first. I think, like, this current Warrior series, if they can win the next 2 games in the Bay Area, they're going to win the series. If they tie it up 2-2, there's no doubt in my mind that they can steal, Game 5 or Game 7 on the road. But, like, when I look in the West, I think if the Clippers win tonight, which I think they will just because of Scott Foster.
We got Scott Foster on that game?
Yeah.
And if Paul George can come back healthy, we know what Kawhi can do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you throw in Paul George, and they got depth, man. Like they might be, regarding like bench, they might be like the Celtics of the West.
Yeah.
So I could honestly see them coming out of the West as long as they win tonight. But that's a series the Suns could easily win too.
For sure, I think that was at the beginning. We did a who was it with? I think it was me, Justin, Ian, Jack, Cody, and was it just us 4?
Yeah, I think
it was just us 4. We did a pod, and that was before opening night, and that was my pick for the finals was Celtics Clippers.
Yeah,
remember when
Clippers.
I had that whole argument with Jack?
Yeah.
But me and Jack went at it that day. But
the Clippers, like also they kind of come down to health.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think I really agree with Finn on that. I think if they can stay healthy, win tonight, and get out of the first round, get Paul George back, and I mean, they're a deep team, man. They're probably the deepest team in the West. So I mean, that's
I'm not gonna lie. I think I have Phoenix winning tonight at home, just because that fourth quarter, Kevin Durant touched the ball, I think, a total of 5 times.
Yeah, he's got.
And I would be so shocked if we saw that again tonight. I think they split. I think this series goes 7. I think this is like the best series. I think these are the 2 best teams out west playing each other in the first round. And I'm not gonna lie. After game 1, I kind of like the Clippers in it. Off the principle of Phoenix hasn't been around, I feel like, long enough together to get it done. I think next year,
I totally agree.
right? Like, can you trade for your best player 55 games into the year and win the title with that player? It's never happened, and I don't think it ever will happen.
Yeah, but I think my biggest problem with the Clippers is that, yes, they have the depth, but how much of it is actually good depth?
Yeah.
And
It's
when
old
it comes
depth,
down
too.
to it, if you're going to play Russell Westbrook and he's going to shoot 3 for 19 every game, you can't always depend on him always coming with that same defensive energy like he did in game 1.
That's
and
true.
I don't even hate Russell Westbrook. I like Russell Westbrook. It's just like he can be so detrimental when he's having an off night that it could legitimately destroy a game. It could destroy a game for your team.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how much they rely on Westbrook, because honestly, I thought they should have played Eric Gordon more. Eric Gordon was having a good game. They should have played him more. They should have played Terrence Mann more.
Should have played Norman Powell more.
My thing with the Clippers is I love Ty Lue. I think he's a great coach, and I think the Clippers are just. I think it's a great spot for Westbrook, to be honest with you.
I think Westbrook, this is a perfect opportunity for him.
I think
it is. I'm just saying if he struggles again, like let's just say he shoots 3 for 19 again and he doesn't have the same defensive impact, that could be a problem. That could be a problem for the Clippers moving forward. And he's been really good with the Clippers. It's just I don't know how I feel about it. It's just like you never know what you're gonna get.
Right.
I think for Westbrook, Ty Lue showed it, that he's not scared to put Westbrook on the bench if he's having a bad game.
And
I
that's what you
I
gotta
think
do.
the biggest difference between the Lakers and the Clippers is that Westbrook on the Clippers, he has the same role every night, whereas on the Lakers, they were never healthy. AD would be out, then LeBron would be out, so it was always changing. But on the Clippers, he knows he's not the number one. I think he's bought into his role, and that's instead of being like a 16 to 20 point scorer, I think he understands that he's like a 12 point to 14 point scorer average, and then maybe like 6 to 10 assists, and then he buys in on the defensive end as well, which I give him a lot of credit for. Like last night or 2 nights ago, or whenever that was the best. What it was like 3 for 19. That was the best 3 for 19 game I've ever seen. So
yeah, he was balling, dude. It's just like, honestly, 2 things: health, right? The series, are the Clippers going to stay healthy? Because one more blow and I think Phoenix takes it, right? You're already down Paul George. And the second thing, I think it comes down to Kawhi versus Durant. The Kawhi Leonard we're seeing is, what do you have? 38 game 1. We are seeing if this. Like, listen, right now out west, there are not many teams I look at and I'm like, all right, they're definitely doing it, right? I mean, De'Aaron Fox has been great. Lakers looked solid. Jaw's hurt. Jokic, come on, let's be real. And and the Warriors are down 0-2 right now. So like it comes down, like the winner, Kawhi versus Durant. Whoever comes out of this round is the best player remaining in the West.
Yeah,
and. Right? Like, so it's a battle. I think it's between those two. Who's going to play better? Game 1, Kawhi got the better of Durant, I thought. And I think it wasn't Durant's fault. I think it was a product of when you trade for your best player 55 games in, you're not going to be able to, it's not going to be able to click in time for the playoffs. It's just like, it's how the trade deadline works. I think the Suns will be dangerous and great next year. But I'm going to have to watch game 2 before I make I still think they might come out of the West. They're my picks still. But if the Clippers can find a way to take game 2, I think I got to switch over to LA. I mean,
I agree.
Think of this. If LA takes game 2, no Paul George, on the road against this team who, kind of written paper champs, I guess, in the West since they've gotten Kevin Durant. They've written everybody off except for the Phoenix Suns, and then a banged up Clippers squad who's still expected to put up a good series, goes into the Valley and steals 2 games. I mean, it's so hard to win 2 games in a row, even at home.
Here's my question:
you win 2 games away? That's crazy, Rob.
Here's my question: Who poses a bigger threat to Boston? LA or Phoenix? Because personally speaking,
I think
LA.
LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes,
LA.
I think a healthy Clippers
Sure.
team can give. I think that's got 7
I think
games
that's
written
the,
all
I think
over
that's
it.
the worst matchup. For
LA
us,
can be
is
a
a
pain in
healthy
the
Clippers
ass.
team.
Don't you remember earlier in the year when the Clippers dogged
They
us?
smoked us by like 30, 20
Yeah.
or something like that. I don't know. It was
Well,
crazy.
That was
and
right
you
after
know
the
why?
too that we
It's
lost.
I think it's because no other team in the league outside of the Clippers and the Celtics have 2 elite 2-way wings, right? Being Kawhi and PG and Tatum and Brown. So it's like, so it's really, I would hate to see the Clippers if they're healthy, but I mean, I'm still taking us in 7.
I think the only other team that I think is a matchup problem for the Celtics is the Nuggets, because the Nuggets are just
I think Cleveland. I think Cleveland's a matchup problem for us.
I'm talking about the West.
Oh, out west, Denver.
Out West,
yeah,
I think the Nuggets are the only other team because Jokic, and I mean, I know people have their own opinion on Jokic, but I mean, you can't deny how talented he is.
for sure.
How he makes players like Aaron Gordon turn into look like all stars.
really.
I mean, honestly, I'm more scared of the Nuggets than I am the Clippers.
But here's my thing with the Nuggets, right? Jokic is phenomenal. Yes, he makes these players look like all-stars, but at the end of the day, it's still Aaron Gordon, right? They don't, right? Like at the end of the day,
You're sounding like Eddie House.
no, but like Aaron Gordon's been great this year, right? But Denver is missing that Jaylen Brown. They are missing that Paul George. They're missing that number 2, right? Like, I mean, think about it. Every champion over the past how many years has had a great number 2. I don't know if Jamal Murray is that number 2, especially coming off an ACL injury. And
we just talked about it. Durant just hit a shot over Westbrook.
Durant, tough bucket.
is that game started?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
just
just started.
started.
Tough first bucket.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we're going to end the show here. I think we addressed everything. We got game 3 coming up Friday night. Anyway,
Celtics. Our series is probably the worst series out of like every other.
That's probably why it was on freaking NBA TV.
Absolutely. So Celtics pick up a big 119-106 win at the Garden. JT,
Rob,
he had 29 points, 10 rebounds. Yeah.
Rob, how big of a deal is it for you? Do you think the Celtics going up 3-0 is?
Oh, I mean, obviously it's great.
You,
That's what
it's everything.
But like,
No, I'm not.
But like,
I
look,
mean,
like no team's ever come back from 3-0.
yeah, I mean, you go up 3-0, you win the series. So it's like name of the game. And me, like I said, I don't want a 5-game series. I don't want a meaningless game against Atlanta when we don't have to play Jason Tatum 40 minutes. Like, save those legs, win this game. But with that being said, like I said, C's pick up a big-time win. Your next game is Friday, April 21st. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can catch that on NBC Sports Boston or ESPN. That will be game 3. We'll have you covered back here live for post-game show. I won't be there, but I believe the other crew will. Thank you guys so much for watching in, guys.